What's going on, guys? Ernest Wheels here. Wanted to do a video for you. I wanted to talk to you today about war. Now, I look at my Facebook feed, and a lot of people are worried about war. They're worried about war with North Korea because of Kim Jong-un, Trump, China, Russia, all of these different countries. There are a lot of geopolitical concerns that are taking place today. And what is interesting is that, a lot of people say, I'm scared because we might have a nuclear war, or our kids might have to go overseas again, or something might happen here, that type of thing. But people don't seem to realize what happens to a currency when war erupts in that country. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. If you look at history, anytime major war takes place in a country, their currency gets extremely devalued. What happens is their government or their leader decides to go to war, and most of the time they cannot afford to pay for the war. So what do? They devalue their currency so that they can pay for troops, so that they can pay for artillery, machinery, arms, that type of thing. So they basically get into debt so that they can pay for the war. When you look at both of the world wars, 1 and 2, they both started in Europe. And many of the countries that got involved in those wars, they turned their industrial factories, instead of making the products that they were making, they turned them into factories that produced arms and weapons. And they paid us to send them their goods and services. They paid us in gold. So what happened to those currencies in those countries over in Europe is they became devalued over time. After World War II, we went on the Bretton Woods standard. Germany had lost its currency twice. After World War I, the debt that they accumulated in World War I to us led to their hyperinflation of I forgot what it was called, it's either the Reichsmark or the German mark. But then when Hitler came in, he had a new currency. I think that one was the Reichsmark. And that currency also was seriously devalued after World War II. So Germany had to rebuild twice because of their currency devaluation. When Serbia and Bosnia went to war in the mid-90s, currency became absolutely worthless. Who else? Iraq. We had the war in Iraq, and their currency, the dinar, no, not the dinar, I can't remember the name of the currency. Dinar is Syria, but anyway, their currency became worthless. And believe it or not, America, we've had this war on terror since the early 2000s. Look at what you used to be able to buy in the early 2000s and compare it to what you can buy today. It's not even close. It's not even close. So what war does is it destabilizes a nation's currency. And if all of these people are concerned about war, you would think that they would be out buying silver or gold or something that's stable, but they're not. Now, I think war is coming. I don't know at what point, but these countries aren't getting all of these nuclear weapons and moving their um, ships and tanks and jets and doing all of these, testing all of these missiles. They're not doing that for their health. It's it is going to get serious very soon. And if you plan on surviving, you should have some gold and silver simply because they have survived hundreds of thousands of wars throughout history because they're stable. They are a true source of time, a true measure of time, and a true measure of value. They cannot be hyperinflated. Gold and silver have never hyperinflated. They've always maintained their value. And in the world in which we live that's so unstable, you are just trying to maintain your value, just trying not to lose. And so gold and silver will make sure that you don't lose. But people aren't aware of the fact that you need gold and silver just to protect you from war because so many people are talking about war. So many people are talking about how afraid they are of war, but they're not doing anything about it. They're not even preparing as far as getting extra food and water and things of that nature, let alone gold and silver. If war breaks out, you're not going to get your money out of the bank. If war breaks out, you're not going to Walmart to get some toothpaste and toilet tissue and bread and milk and whatever you need to get. That's not going to happen. If Kim Jong Un decides to shoot a missile at Los Angeles, the entire country is probably going to go on lockdown just out of fear because it'll be like Pearl Harbor, only worse because he's trying to use a nuclear weapon or nuclear missile. So it's going to be a lot worse. Not fear mongering, but it's just very interesting to me how so many people are afraid of war all of a sudden, but they're not doing anything about it financially. They're not doing anything by protecting themselves with gold and silver. Maybe it's because they don't know. Probably is, but it's sad because so many Americans are just distracted by so many things. They act like war is a game. There's nothing funny about war. War is not a game. War is serious business. Generations have been wiped out because of war. Slavery takes place during wartime. I mean, you could talk about the Revolutionary War, how that led to slavery in this country. You could talk about World War I, how the German citizens basically became slaves. After World War I, they became debt slaves because they owed America so much. Then you could talk about Germany after World War II, how a lot of their women became slaves to the Russians. The Russian soldiers raped over 2 million women after World War II because of Hitler took over and he was defeated and the country just went to hell basically. So much evil happens in war, and people who get out and get into safe areas and protect themselves, they use gold and silver to do so. Gold and silver will take you farther than your local currency in a time of war, in a time of absolute chaos. And, people joke like, oh, war is coming. Oh, World War III is around the horizon. Ha ha ha. It's not funny because it's real. War is real. Einstein said, I don't know what World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Simply meaning that because of the technology that we have now, the weapons that they have are capable of literally destroying the planet. And if somebody gets too big of an ego or somebody gets too upset and they initiate this thing where we have like a worldwide war, that's very serious. And if you just have the local currency, you're in trouble. You are in trouble if all you have is your local currency. You need gold and silver. Bottom line. Maybe that's why Russia, China, and India are going on a gold binge right now. Maybe that's why, because they're preparing for war. You know, wars reset economies. And we are due for a reset. The dollar is the world's reserve currency, and the rest of the world is tired of it. They are hoarding gold, they are accumulating gold. The East is, Eastern nations, Russia, China, and the like. Maybe it's because they anticipate a war coming and they want to come out on top, so they want to have gold after it's all said and done. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But if you are one of the ones who believe that war is coming, you need to recognize that your local currency isn't going to do it. Your local currency isn't going to help you, because what's going to happen is your government is going to devalue the currency. They're going to get into debt, and they're going to print the currency so they can fund the army, so they can fund their arms, their military operations. We've been doing it for years with the military industrial complex. It's the reason why we can go into countries like Afghanistan and Yemen and Syria and Iraq, and now we're trying to go into Libya. The only reason we can do that is because we are debasing our currency. Now, if war hits here, someplace here in America, then you can bet your behind that the currency is really going to get devalued then. You're not going to have to be waiting for a couple of decades to really see it, but you're going to see it immediately. So you just want to have yourself protected. It's about protection. Gold and silver has always been about protection. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about protection and preservation. So, I mean, Iran and North Korea and other countries that are testing EMPs, the EMP would set us all the way back. It just would. And your currency would die immediately. So, you really want to have gold and silver to protect yourself. So, if you hear somebody talking about they're afraid of war, ask them if they really are. Because if they are, then they should have some gold and silver. If not, then they're just blowing smoke and they don't really know what it's about. They don't know how serious it is. Because when major war happens, nations get reset, economies get reset, and the reset always, 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 always is based on the amount of gold and silver that a nation has. The reason why we became the #1 nation after World War II is because we had 2/3 of the world's gold. We no longer have 2/3 of the world's gold. I don't believe we have as much gold as we say we have. If we did, we wouldn't have to print as much currency as we're printing. We're printing billions of dollars a month, getting into debt. They just authorized another spending bill for another trillion to take us through to September. The debt is never going to stop. It's not going to stop until it's reset. And the catalyst that might reset it is war. I don't think Trump is playing. I don't think Kim Jong-un is playing. I don't think China is playing. I don't think any of these nations are playing. So be wise. Make sure you have some gold and silver to protect you, especially if you believe war is coming. If you found value in this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Gonna be coming at you with another one real soon. God bless y'all. Remember, gold and silver is money. Everything else is credit. Peace out.